Greetings, and thank you all for joining us for this closing session of Sound System Outernational 7, Sound Systems at the Crossroads. Most of you will already know that Sound System Outernational is an ongoing initiative of practitioners and researchers put together in association with Goldsmiths, University of London, under the direction of Professor Julian Henriques and co-founders Brian D'Aquino and Leonardo Vidigal, dedicated to recognizing, investigating, stimulating, and supporting sound system culture worldwide. Since 2016, we've been staging conferences, holding sound system sessions and related events to acknowledge the global reach of sound system culture that began in Jamaica, came to the UK and US through the Jamaican diaspora, and subsequently took on new life, profiling its increasing influence on a range of music forms around the world, as well as its social function, its community groundings, and allied aspects of rebellion and resistance. Each event tried to balance the theoretical with the practical by making space for the participation of sound system practitioners as well as academics. And this was particularly evident at SSO 5, held in Naples in 2019. Our last session in 2020 should have been held in the city of São Luís in the northeast of Brazil, which has a distinctive sound system culture, but the restrictions of the COVID-19 pandemic turned that into an online symposium. Nevertheless, we were able to maintain the continuity through high caliber scholarship, matched by enthralling sound system sessions, all delivered virtually. And suffice it to say that SSO 7 maintained this evolution through the delivery of a multifaceted symposium of similar standard. Again, with top-notch sound systems, sessions, and an excellent film screening program and other related content delivered during a week-long event staged in conjunction with Sonic Street Technologies, which is an ERC-funded research project. SSO 7 began on the 9th of July with a practitioners panel entitled The Sonic Challenge, Post-Pandemic Sound System Practices. And that featured Feminine Hi-Fi from Brazil, Conscious Way Outernational from Guadeloupe, El Grand Latido from Colombia, and Kebra Ethiopia from South Africa, all chaired by team member Brian D'Aquino, who runs Baba Boom Hi-Fi in Naples. And the first-hand testimony delivered at that session really brought into focus the challenges facing these practitioners in their given locations. It also offered the chance to hear of their enmeshment in local communities. And it was heartening to hear how most of the sounds were formed to assist with the education and upliftment of the underprivileged, using the sound system to directly challenge oppressive state forces and the social inequalities that abound. Then our opening plenary was delivered on the 12th of July by the incomparable force who is Carolyn Cooper, Professor Emerita at the University of the West Indies in Jamaica. Throughout her long and distinguished career, Professor Cooper has been a tireless campaigner for the recognition of the crucial innovation of the Jamaican underclass, including the culture of the dance hall with its attendant sound systems, and the language, the distinct language of ordinary Jamaicans, all typically denigrated by polite society at home. And Professor Cooper highlighted in her plenary that the sound system culture is still deemed illegitimate by mainstream Jamaica, and noted that the restrictions of lockdown ironically stimulated a belated re-examination of the form as a legitimate economic enterprise, according to the current Prime Minister, Andrew Holness. On the 13th of July, the panel entitled Street Music Cultures, The Struggle for Survival, chaired by Monique Charles, began with a presentation on sound system festivals held before and during lockdown, presented by Sonia, Stanley, Naya. And as with Professor Cooper's plenary, Dr. Naya's presentation kept coming back to those themes of race, class, and political alignment that form perpetual boundaries in Jamaican society. She also traced the Middle Passage roots of sound system culture that she sees as giving rise to reggae festivals ultimately. And she also provided us with a lot of hardcore data about the specificities of festivals in Jamaica, Europe, and elsewhere. Now, Bruno Muniz was a featured speaker at SSO 6, and his presentation was equally hard-hitting this time, detailing the hostile state reaction to the baile funk dances of Rio, and contrasting the security forces' muted responses to high society parties held clandestinely during lockdown in Brazil, reminding that the Brazilian state has long engaged in what he names as the genocidal victimization of Brazil's Black populace. Similarly, Jean-Christophe Sevin examined the hostile state reaction to the free techno parties held in France, citing examples in which rave sound system personnel lost their lives and limbs during armed raids executed by the police. And although Jean-Christophe pointed out some differences between the French free party scene and that of many reggae sound systems in the Q&A that followed, where he was highlighting that race was evidently less a factor of the given victimization. Moses Aiton then gave a talk on his research into the Mexican sonideros, noting some of the similarities and differences with reggae sound system culture and the culture of the sonideros, including their community focus, anti-corporate ethos, and their reactions to state oppression. He also noted how the sonidero movement tried to shift online during the pandemic to a certain degree, and his presentation chimed nicely with the world depicted in Joyce Garcia's evocative film, Yo No Soy Guapo, part of the complimentary film screening program curated by Leonardo Vidigal. And Joyce's film is still available to rent on Vimeo in case you missed it during SSO 7. The move online was also the firm focus of Pax Nindi's presentation, delivered from the perspective of a dub VJ who has worked with Jashaka, Abishanti, and other reggae greats. Pax revealed that the pandemic forced him to get to grips with live streaming himself, but noted that the spatial, sonic, and corporeal experience of a live sound system session cannot really be properly recreated online, nor in headphones. Then Feminine Hi-Fi delivered an intensive mix of styles during their sound system session, drifting from the foundation dancehall of 1980s Jamaica to the contemporary reggae styles of today's Brazil, throwing in a touch of conscious UK steppers for good measure, all the while speaking truth to power on the mic. Now, on 14th of July, the panel entitled Writing Histories, Explorations of Sound System Culture, chaired by Yasmin Foster, began with an eloquent and thought-provoking presentation from H. Patton, in which he explored aspects of Black dancing bodies within British sound system culture, positing that their dance movements refute the reductive racist stereotypes, and he was drawing on the concepts of collective memory and ancestral knowledge to remind us that there are African echoes present in moves such as the Bogle dance. And he also noted that both the Bogle and the Chucky dance of the 1970s showed an inherent response, a kind of inherited response, rather, to the lashing of the whip during slavery, emphasizing as well that dancehall dance moves evidence the ancient spirituality shown in movements such as Bruckens, Kumina, and Revival in Jamaica. Then Mirjam Weirs and Daniel Alvaredo Chavez introduced some basics about the sonidero culture of Mexico City in their presentation, though they were plagued by some technical issues. And the remaining three presenters on that panel all spoke about their own experience rooted within the local sound system scenes where they're based. So in an unusual presentation, Illuminated by powerful still photographs and original illustrations, Christopher Dewey related his experience of promoting sound system events in Huddersfield in the north of England, noting the community aspects of that experience, the ways in which the younger hopefuls were learning from the veterans, and he also recounted some unexpected challenges encountered along the way. Then Amelia Cox explored the free party scene of Southwest England and the ways in which Devon's rave culture differs from the sound system scenes of cities such as Bristol, with its huge Caribbean diaspora. She also provided some firsthand testimony from young practitioners in Devon who spoke of the ways in which the rave scene gave meaning and purpose to their lives. Finally, Eric Abbey described his journey that led him from being a punk and ska musician in Detroit to eventually founding his own pocket sound system in that city, following a journey to Jamaica, where he was mentored by Tony Myers of the Jamaica Sound System Federation. And although he described the sound system scene in Detroit as somewhat minuscule, Eric detailed his efforts to stage regular free community events with pocket sound, generating relief, solace, and solidarity. Then we had a sound system session from El Gran Latido that relied heavily on Eurosteppers, with their entire team and affiliated vocalists chanting and singing on the microphone in Spanish. And their session was delivered during a period of extended unrest in Bogota, giving it a kind of added emphasis. Then on the 15th of July, Space, Place, and Belonging, Sonic Imagination and Essential Creative Practices, chaired by June Reed, related diverse cultural practices to the spatial locations of the sound system in various locations. And that session began with a couple of works in progress. First, Michael McMillan delved into his forthcoming e-anthology, Sonic Vibrations, which will launch in December 2021. And he highlighted in his presentation that the anthology will explore dub's futuristic aspects, the etiquette of sound system raves, and the role of women in the culture, as well as the underlying misogyny facing female sound systems such as Nzinga Sounds and Legs 11, among many other issues. Then Tali Lotus described the transformative process of turning her Kaya project from a sound system into what she termed an educative audio enterprise, which stimulated the design of the X3E microphone. Tali symbolically dissected the parallel vibrations experienced spatially by humans in her presentation through sound, referencing the influence of figures such as Bob Marley, Sun Ra, and Muta Baruka to highlight the way a ponderance on legacy stimulated and influenced her project's new direction. And she also emphasized that the change denotes very much a new beginning rather than an end. Using the musicological discourse analysis method developed by Monique Charles, Christine Hannigan looked at aspects of Lewisham's spatial soundscape against a backdrop of circumventive gentrification in an outer London borough with a large African Caribbean diaspora, and in which Goldsmiths is situated. Drawing on interviews with practitioners such as Leslie Lyrics of Ghetto Tone, Christine related the intergenerational knowledge exchange that took place on the sound system scene, which has been key to the resilience of Lewisham's Caribbean community, one that has often found itself under siege by police. And she highlighted that the current and very stilted gentrification process that Lewisham is facing forms a real concrete threat to the community, and noted that that process relies on racist tropes and deceptive language. Then, in one of the most intriguing presentations of Sound System International 7, Melville Cook examined how the Bank of Jamaica attempted to equate the low financial inflation, with the solidity of the reggae baseline, to consider whether such an analogy could be appropriate. And he pointed out the irony of this appropriation by the BOJ, noting that the state itself in Jamaica seems to be in perpetual conflict with the pervasive presence of the very reggae bass line in the contested space of late night sound system sessions. Now, unfortunately, bandwidth issues prevented Angel Hamilton from fully delivering her exploration of reggae and sound vibrations as represented in the work of 3 Caribbean female novelists, but she was able to emphasize that the works symbolically acted against the male dominance in sound system culture. And she will be making her presentation available in full on our YouTube channel, so do check back to catch that in full. Now, after that, attendees had a very tough choice. They could attend the workshop entitled Recipe for a Happy Mind. Now, that was an interactive workshop led by Lynette Kamala, something she termed a sonic therapeutic intervention based on the oral testimony of the participants who attended. Or attendees could tune into Conscious Way Outer National, playing a mix of Jamaican roots classics and UK steppers tunes with their full crew and guest artists on the mic. And that session was delivered in a really lovely environment outdoors at their headquarters in Guadeloupe. Pure niceness and plenty of food for thought at Sound System Outer National 7 as usual. Now, our final session for SSO 7 features Gabriel Selassie of the Kingston Dub Club in discussion with myself about aspects of his life and work. And he describes in the interview how he went from being a young party selector active on upfront dancehall sound systems in Kingston and Miami to a kind of spiritual awakening he underwent, which then drew him to make a strong connection with the roots reggae icon Augustus Pablo. And Pablo is the one that he ultimately celebrates in his special 2-hour sound system session that he will deliver exclusively for SSO 7 later this evening. The interview itself is going to be premiered directly at 4:15 p.m. UK time. So once you're done listening to this, go back to our YouTube channel and you can click the link to view the interview. And then as soon as you're done with that interview, you can go back at 5:15 UK time today and view Gabriel Selassie's special sound system session in full. Also, check out our link tree to find the related online content submitted for a Sound System Outer National 7. That content was curated by team members Oana Parvan and Vincent Moistad, who also had many other duties during this conference. We also encourage you to stay in touch with us via our Facebook and Instagram pages and to sign up to our mailing list. We will be back for more editions in future, hopefully in person. But for now, on behalf of the entire team, a very warm thank you to each and everyone for taking part in Sound System Outer National 7.